What's up, guys? It's Sam. Today I'm going to be talking about Dave Ramsey's baby steps. So I'm going to put it on the screen so that you can follow along with me. Um, but I kind of want to talk them through, talk about what I think about them, and then show you my revised plan for the baby steps that's for a little bit more advanced people, or maybe people that are starting a little bit younger, maybe the millennials, because that's what I am, and I think it's a good plan for them. Um, so Dave Ramsey's had these baby steps for a long time now, and they are made for people that follow his program. They are meant to kind of guide people the right way, and they're pretty generalized, which is good for the broad population because it's hard once you get into the weeds of certain investments, different accounts and stuff like that, 401k versus Roth IRA versus IRA versus HSA, all those different accounts. It can be difficult to follow exactly what you should do, but Dave Ramsey has made it very simple using his baby steps. The first thing that he says to do is just to drop $1,000 in an emergency fund. So he is thinking you don't want to go any more in debt. So start here, start with $1,000, save up. So that way, if anything comes up, you're not putting on your credit card, you're not getting a cash advance for it. You have the money, and this is just for emergencies. This isn't like, oh, I have to buy a new sweatshirt because I got a stain on my old sweatshirt or something. I'm going to use this money. This is, oh, my car broke down and I have no money and I need it replaced, so I have to use the $1,000, and then you build it back up again. Baby step 2 is to pay off all debt using the debt snowball. So there are a couple different ways to pay off debt. I won't go into them here, but the way that he likes to do it is pay off the smallest amount first and then go through the line, paying off the next smallest amount of debt and the next, so that psychologically it feels good when you pay off the debt, and then you use whatever money you were using to pay off that debt and put it into the next debt, so on. Baby step 3 is to save 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings. This is so that if you have a job loss or something like that, that you have enough to cover your expenses so you don't go back into credit card debt or something like that. And it doesn't say on here, but one of the things that he believes in is cutting up all your credit cards. So he doesn't want you to have to put anything on credit cards, hence the 3 to 6 months of savings. Baby step 4, invest 15% into tax-favored accounts. This is like a 401k, a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, a health savings account, stuff like that, stuff that helps you with your taxes. So invest 15% into those tax-favored accounts. And then baby step 5, fund college for your children. Pretty self-explanatory there. That can be pretty expensive though, since college can cost about $25,000 a year. That's a pretty average amount. So that is a good amount to have to save for your children, but that's what he says to do. Baby step 6, pay off your home early, so that way you don't have that mortgage payment hanging over your head monthly. And then step 7, build wealth and give a bunch away. So that is very broad and doesn't really tell you, but I think he's thinking basically when you pay off your home, that'll probably be a while after you've been investing 15% to your account. Your children might be out of your house by then, so you have a lot more room to build wealth and give away money. He's big into the church, so he's probably thinking charitable donations to the church or people that need money, stuff like that. So going through this, I think that it is a pretty good plan for the most part. If you do this from age 30 to 65, you'll have money and you will be probably set up fine for your retirement. I think that this is a good plan, but it's not a great plan. There's several reasons for this, and I'll go through them in my plan, but $1,000 for an emergency fund is good. Pay off debt using a debt snowball. There's a different way to pay off debt, which is more efficient. So I think that that's a little bit better way to go about it. I would pay off the highest interest rate first, and not necessarily use the debt snowball, which doesn't have to do with interest rates. 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings is fine for the most part. Invest 15% into tax favored accounts. That's pretty good. Let me look right now on Bankrate. I apologize for doing this in the middle of this, but if you invest 15%, that is a good amount. It's maybe 2 to 3 times what the average American saves. Let's say this is over a 35-year period from 30 to 65. Say you're making $50,000 a year, you invest 15% of that. At a 7% rate of return, you have about $745,000. Not quite enough if you use a 4% rule to retire on. That would give you maybe $22,000 a year, give or take. In more than that, sorry. It will give you $30,000 a year, give or take, in money in retirement if you use a 4% rule. Plus, you probably have Social Security and stuff by then. So you would need $42,500. You have about $30,000. So not terrible. But if you go back to his rules, if you pay off the home mortgage, then you probably are fine because you probably drop your expenses. But fund your college for your children. Fund the college for children. As someone that had to pay for my college, that would have been nice to have that paid for, but that is a lot of money. If you were doing this after your children are a couple years old, you only have about 10 years. So if their college cost $100,000, that's going to be hard to save for, especially if you're not close to retirement yourself. You're putting your children way in front of your own needs. And I think personally that if you are in a good situation, that's more important to your kids than paying for their college, because I've seen a lot of people who had their college paid for and just didn't appreciate it and just took it for granted. So I don't think that has to be baby step 5. Maybe that's down the line after you are like right when you're nearing retirement. If you're nearing retirement by the time that your kids are that age, maybe you put some money towards their accounts. But I don't think you necessarily have to help them that much. I know a lot of people that have gotten college for free just based on merit or based on financial need. So I don't love that one. That's fine though. It's nice for your children. Baby step 6, pay off your home early. I don't really agree with this, especially with mortgage rates as low as they are. The interest on them is 3.5% to 4% right now. So I would leave that last. I maybe would even go into retirement with a mortgage. Of course, I'm young and some people don't like having to pay that money. And maybe I won't when I'm that age either. But right now, it just makes so much more sense financially to wait on that. And then baby step 7, build wealth and give a bunch away. It doesn't say anything about like retiring or becoming financially independent or anything like that. But I think that's fine. I think that's a nice thing to be able to do after you're retired. But I have my own list here, and I'm going to go through it. I think this is the more advanced list. If you guys like this, please leave a comment. Please like the video. It helps me because I am just starting this YouTube channel, and I don't have many followers or many people watching the video, so I'd appreciate it. These are the financial friend baby steps. So these are what I came up with. I spent some time on this, probably not as much as Dave Ramsey spent on his, but I think these are for people that really want to accelerate this process and maybe do it a little bit more efficiently. So I think the first thing you need to do is log how much you spend over a 1 to 3 month period. So I say 1 to 3 months because I know some people would not do it for 3 months, and some people probably won't even do it for 1 month. I have logged everything that I've spent over almost 2 years now, but I think the first thing you need to do is know how much you spend. It's too easy just to know how much we make and have no idea what's going out, whether we're even financially solvent, whether we are spending more or less than we actually earn. And it's hard to make good steps forward if you have no idea how much money you have extra. So first, I would log how much you spend over the 1 to 3 months. The longer the better, because there are things that come up maybe every 3 to 6 months that you won't get if you just have a 1 month log. After that, you can kind of tell how much you make or how much you spend throughout the year. And this is a good way to also cut what you don't need. Maybe you realize, hey, I'm spending $300 on a phone plan for my kids and my wife when I can spend less, and pretty much have the same thing at a different carrier or something else like that. Maybe you're spending some too much on something else, maybe groceries or transportation or something like that. Number two, I would get a credit card and improve your credit. This is probably one of the most different things between Dave Ramsey and myself. I think that credit cards are very important, and your credit is obviously very important because if you have poor credit or no credit, you will get very bad rates compared to people that have boosted their credit throughout time. And it's one of the easiest things you can do that is absolutely free that will save you money. So if you have a 750 credit score, you get a lot better rates than someone that has a 600 score. And you'll be able to save yourself a lot of time and money with that. Another thing is, which I'll talk about this more later probably, but you can get some really nice bonuses from using credit cards, and that can improve your income. So you can get up to $600 for each card that you get, $600 $700 back after you spend about $3,000 to $5,000. So you can make another $2,000 to $3,000 a year just from getting credit card bonuses. And I did that last year. Between my bank account bonuses and my credit card bonuses, I made about $2,400, and that was just over 7 months since I started it. So that is baby step number two. Another reason that I put this here is so that you can invest up to the company match. So if you have a credit card, and even if you have credit card debt, I think it's still important to invest up to the company match before you pay off that credit card. The reason for this is most companies will give you at least a 50 to 100% match up until about 3 to 5%. And that is huge because even if you are getting 20% interest on your credit card, if you invest to the company match, you're getting 100% return without any market fluctuation. So even if the stock market goes down 30%, you're still making money, more than you would putting it towards your credit card. Then baby step number 4, I would pay off any debt that's over 7% interest. So that includes credit cards, high interest student loans, maybe some high interest auto loans, stuff like that, because it is very hard to beat a 8% or let's say 15% interest on your credit card. It's really hard to beat that in the stock market. This last year we had a 30% return in the stock market but that is definitely not average. The average return is about 10%. So I would pay off that debt first, just to make yourself feel better. And then if you lose your job or something, there's less that you have to worry about because you have more debt that's paid off. Baby step 5, I would invest $2,000 in a brokerage account. I would do this, and this is your emergency fund in my mind. The reason I put it here is you can lose it, but over time it's going to be a better solution for you than just putting it in a savings account. And since you have that credit card, you can sell off the stock and then pay back your credit card. So use the credit card and then sell off a little bit of your investments and then pay off the credit card. So let's say the stock market, I just said, returns about 10% on average each year. Let's say it's 7% after inflation. If you have a big expense, you will be better off paying for it with invested money, since over time you'll be getting a 7% interest rate as opposed to 1 to 2% in a savings account. So I would put it there. That is your emergency fund. You don't touch it unless you have an emergency. And then just let it increase in value. Baby step 6, I would invest at least 20% of your income. So there are a variety of ways to do this, but I like 20% instead of 15%. So that way, if we're going back to our investment calculator, if you are, let's say you are 30, you have until 65, and you invest 20%, you have about $1.9 million. So you have more than enough to retire on. You could retire before that even. This is assuming you have a $50,000 a year job. And I will say the last calculation I gave was wrong. I did it over a 25 year span. So if we're going back to the 15%, it would give you about $1.5 million at a 7% interest rate over 35 years. But if you're starting this later, you would only, let's say you started at 40 and you were investing 15%, you would only have $750,000 compared to if you invested 20%, you would have about $903,000, and you'd only be spending $40,000 then. So it would be better overall to be saving that 20%. So I think that will make your financial independence a lot quicker. And I would first max out your Roth IRA. The reason for this is that you're already investing in the company 401k in a traditional account. So this will give you some diversity in the way that you can take out your investments. Then I would max out the HSA. I know that putting money in an HSA is better than a Roth IRA generally, because you can pay for stuff without paying tax on any of your income then once it's in there. But the Roth IRA gives you more flexibility for taking money out. But then I would max out the HSA, and then if you still have money left over, max out the 401k and then put money in a brokerage account if you are lucky enough to have that issue. I think that will give you some diversity, like I said. And if you're maxing out your Roth IRA and your HSA and investing up to the company match, you'll probably be fine. And then if you max out your 401k, you'll be making a good amount of money and investing a lot of money too. So baby step number 7 is to push to financial independence. Now, if you're investing 20% of your income and you can max out those accounts, financial independence might come to you quickly. If you're having a hard time investing 20% of your income, there are several ways to boost this. And I'm not talking about, start a side hustle where you go create a new company and then make $10,000 a year from a couple hours of work a week. That is pretty difficult, I think, if you're just an average person, because that takes a lot of time and you have to have some marketable skill that you can do better than other people, or that you are willing to do that other people aren't willing to do. So a different way to do that is just to take some of the money that you already have and just use it in the most efficient way possible towards bank account bonuses and credit card bonuses. So like I said before, I made $2,400 last year on these bonuses, and that was only in 7 months, and that was with a very small amount of money. I only opened up very small credit cards and very small bank account requirements. So some bank accounts will give you more money if you have more money in them. I only opened up the accounts that required less than about $1,500, some as low as I think $100, and I got bonuses between $100 and $300. But if you have more money on the sidelines that you're willing to play with, if you have $5,000 to $15,000 maybe, you can make a lot more money from these bonuses because they'll pay out more. So you can increase your income, especially if you have a significant other who is willing to help you with this. Maybe $5,000 to $10,000 throughout the year just by doing these bonuses. You have to keep track of it, but you can do it almost all from your own couch or just walking into banks and talking to them about it. So it's a really easy way to increase your income to help push you towards financial independence. Then after that, I think you can use your resources however you want. So if you want to give, great. If you want to give to your kids in the form of free college, great. Whatever you want to do, because now your time and your money is your own. You're not tied down to a job or a set of principles that you don't believe, because you have that freedom from financial independence to do with what you want. So these are kind of my ideas for the baby steps. They're a little bit more in depth than Dave Ramsey's, and I understand that his is to the general public. But if you're watching financial videos on YouTube, and especially if you found this video, you probably like financial independence or just like finance. So you probably can go with these more in-depth practices. So I know that some of these accounts you might not have access to. I know that I misquoted the 35 years at 15% interest, or 15% of your income investing, and I apologize for that. But the general beliefs are still the same for me, that this is a more advanced version of Dave Ramsey's plan, and I think it's a good way to go about it. Of course, if you are making a higher income or you're more hardcore about this, you can increase these numbers, maybe invest 50% and retire in 10 to 15 years. Maybe you invest in rental properties or businesses or something like that. But this is to the general public that wants to improve, that's just a little bit further along than Dave Ramsey's main crowd is. So I appreciate it. If you like it, let me know. Please, if you have your own baby steps that you believe in, let me know below, even if they're just 3 or 4 steps, or maybe it's a 20-step plan, who knows. But I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.